Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. So I'd love for us to start in a restorative shape. And we'll be working with that a little bit today. So if you haven't already grabbed your blocks, your bolster, your pillows, blankets, whatever you've got, we'll probably use lots of props today. And if you don't have anything, don't worry, we'll work it out. So I want to invite us to try child's pose or the massage table to start. It's a new moon right now, so it's a really good time to be kind of curling in a little bit, facing down towards the earth. So I know a lot of you guys know these. Child's pose is toes together, knees apart. You don't necessarily need any props, but if you have a bolster or a couple of pillows, you could put them in between your knees. Excuse me, Finnegan, I know you're comfortable there. And if you want to try the massage table, maybe Finnegan can be my prop for a second here. You can take your torso over the long prop. So again, bolster, a couple of pillows. You would want something to support your head. I'm going to use Finnegan as an example, but you could use like a folded towel or a block like this. And you just lay forward. Legs could be long or bent out to the sides. Then you just rest your head on that little prop right there. And now he's going to go, so here. And the arms could be in a cactus or down by your hips, and just kind of see what feels right. So sometimes I like this one with hands by hips because it really lets the shoulder blades separate and kind of widens the upper back, which is a bit soothing for the nervous system. If you happen to have a hot water bottle, bolster, or sorry, not bolster, sandbag, towel, blanket, something like that, you could put it right on your adrenal gland. So that's right sort of just underneath the shoulder blades in the mid back. It's one of the areas where we have our stress hormones are produced. And so just having a little bit of weight there is really calming for the nervous system, which is generally what we need on a new moon. And let's be honest, most of the time. So let's just kind of settle in, whichever shape you're choosing, and go ahead and take a nice deep breath in through your nose, maybe out through your mouth. And see if you can breathe into that mid-back area. Honoring the way you're feeling in your body, what your breath is doing. The earth, the land beneath you. And as we often come to in this practice, honoring that the moon can have an effect on your energy, on how you're feeling. And so can, the weather, time changes coming up, the days are getting quite a bit darker. What's happening in your relationships, in your community, like all of these things are a part of how we experience our bodies. And so just really allowing yourself to feel a little bit more tired today if you do, or a little bit slower. And that's okay. We don't need to change that. We don't need to fix it. We're here to really just be with what's already true, what's already happening, and just letting that be okay. So we're going to spend some time here. I'll give you guys a little bit of quiet. It should be really comfortable. If it's not, please adjust something so that you can kind of really relax as much as possible. And we'll just do that together for the next little while here. If your head is turned to one side, you might want to take a little bit of time on the other side. If you're comfortable as you are, you don't have to move, just if you'd like to. Having had a few breaths to connect, just take a moment to notice if there's anything that you're bringing into your practice today in terms of intention, or if there's anything that your body is letting you know that you might need today, or anything that you might want to keep with you as we're going through our practice today. And you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. Okay, when you're ready, we'll counterpose. So if you've been in child's pose, you can come up to your hands and your knees and gently extend one leg back at a time. Okay, if you've been in the massage table shape, you can come up to your elbows or your hands and just take a little bit of a back bend that's supported under the hips. And then let's meet on our hands and our knees and take some cat and cows. So I'm just going to move these props off to the side for now. Spread the fingers under the shoulders, knees, under the hips, and just start to move with your breath. So inhaling into a back bend, exhaling to curl under. And again, with the energy of the new moon, maybe you're noticing that you're just wanting to go a little bit slower than some other days. So really honor that, give it the time it needs. And as always, feel free to add on or change this. So moving side to side, wiggling, circles, all those things are welcome. And I do encourage, if it feels safe and comfortable for you to close your eyes, do that. Because what that does is it kind of brings you more into sensation and a little bit out of, what is this supposed to look like? What am I supposed to be doing? Doesn't matter, okay, but it does matter how you feel. So see if you can just focus on that. Trust it. Okay, and then I'll invite you to add on a little bit with your water wheel. So you just walk your hands a little bit forward or your knees a little bit back. I like this, toes tucked under. Okay, bring the hips back to the heels, and then we draw the belly in, curl forward, and then open the chest forward through the arm bones any amount, which might be not at all. Okay, it can be more like a plank. Bring the hips back to the heels, curl belly in, and round forward. So those of you that are feeling like you want a little bit more work into the core, all you're going to do is go slower, okay? And just at that moment when you are in that flat spine, so shoulders over the hips, just pause there for a breath. That'll give you a little bit of work into the core before you open up into that little bit of back bend. Keeping in mind that if you are in the back bend, you don't want to sag in your core. You want to keep it gently engaged so that your lower back is supported in a functional back bend. So it's not like you're just kind of dumping there. Think about pulling the shoulders back. So just letting that work for you. You could do none of that core work if it's not really working for you. You will have a little bit of engagement through the core as you come forward, but it won't be as intense. Okay, and let's take about one more of those, and we're going at different paces. So just see what that means for you. And then return to your hands and your knees. So walk your hands back a little bit or knees in. Go ahead and take your left arm open to the sky. So we're taking a little bit of an opening in the chest. That's your inhale. And as you exhale, thread that arm under you. So this pose is called thread the needle. Other poses are called that too. Coming onto the left temple, right fingertips come onto the floor just off the mat. And then you're going to push the floor away from you with your right hand, down with your left, and just lean back into your upper back, kind of adrenal area, and just breathe into that place. Place the right palm by your face when you're ready. Next inhale, we're going to open that left arm back up to the sky. And then we'll switch sides. So place the left hand down, right arm opens, thread under. Coming onto the temple, left fingertips just off the mat, pushing the floor forward, and the right back of the hand presses down, and you're just kind of leaning back. So we're stretching that space between the shoulder blades a little bit there. Nice deep breaths. And then place the left palm down beside your face. Go ahead and reach that right arm open again. Bring the hands down and let's take this into Anahatasana. So you can tuck the toes under again if your knees are okay with that. We're going to walk the hands forward, maybe a little bit wide, like mat's distance, up on fingertips, and melt the heart back towards the thighs. You can let your chin or forehead come down and just think of really melting the heart. You could even rock it a little bit from side to side if that feels good. And then we'll come all the way to the belly. So I like to come back up through hands and knees, come forward and all the way down. And then just take a moment, resting forehead or cheek on the floor or your palms. Relax your bum, relax your back. Just take a couple breaths to be really nice and close to the earth. Okay, so let's do a little bit of work along the back line. So let's start with the lower body. So you can press the tops of your feet down into the mat and engage the legs so your kneecaps lift. Engage your glutes and press your pubic bone down. You can keep your head down for now, okay? And then squeeze your right bum and just lift your right foot up off the ground a little bit. And as you exhale, put it back down. And then left glute squeezes, lift that left leg just a little bit up off the ground. So you don't really need to see much, just moving that bolster out of the way. And then we're just going to move from side to side. So the thing I want you to think about is not so much how high your foot is going, but that you're initiating the movement from your glute muscle, okay? So you're actually feeling that engagement and the leg lifting from the glute. Sometimes we can kind of get the wires a little bit crossed in our, between the glute and the mind. And so just reminding the glute that it can do this is really helpful for lower back health. Okay, so just moving side to side. Upper body's relatively relaxed. And just going as slow as feels right for you. Just keeping your concentration on glute engages first. Squeeze that side of your bum. Might be interesting to squeeze only one butt cheek. Sometimes that takes a little thinking. It's okay if you're squeezing both. Just gonna do one more round. Okay, and then relax. Take a nice deep breath, relax thumb. You can shake it a bit if you want. And then let's gently try both. So again, don't worry about how high up you're going. That doesn't matter. Just gonna engage the legs, engage the glutes, draw the belly in lightly, and then both legs lift from the glutes, keeping the upper body down and just taking a breath or two. And relax. Take a nice deep breath. Again, you can shake your bum a little if you want. Okay. And then we'll work with some cobras. There are lots of different ways to do our cobras, and the one that I'm going to offer today is probably my favorite one just for simplicity, cactus cobra. So you're just going to have your hands down in a little cactus shape on the ground. Engage the legs, you don't have to lift them. Drawing tailbone slightly down, engage the core lightly, palms are down, and then on your inhale, you're just going to lift up any amount. So your elbows might come off the ground, they don't have to. And as you exhale, come down. So there's a little squeeze for the lower back. If you want to come up higher, you can just bring your hands in a little bit closer. But again, it's not so much that we're trying to get height here, but just really thinking about where is that place where you feel like you're getting a little squeeze and release into the lower back. This is an anaphorist one. Really good low back therapy. It kind of helps the lower back to get back in alignment, and it sort of squeezes and releases anything that's kind of stagnant there. It does not have to be high, okay? And I want you also to be thinking about, rather than trying to just sort of yank up, imagine that you're trying to actually come forward and up. It's like you're trying to get your ribs away from your hips so that your whole lower back and side body is super long. Let's try for 3 more. So therapeutic to do this work prone. Most of us need it because we're looking at our computers all the time. Yeah, I'm going to take 1 more and hold. If you're comfortable, just drawing those shoulders on the back. Again, it doesn't have to be very high. And then release, take a nice little breath, give your bum a little wiggle. Good. Okay, we're going to do 1 more in this plane. And this one can be a bit of a back bend, but it doesn't have to. I really want to focus more on the strength of the muscles around the shoulder blades, okay? So chin or forehead down, reach your hands down beside your hips. And which way do I want your hands to turn? Turn the palms up, actually. Press the tops of the feet down, engage the legs like we talked about, and you may or may not lift your chest. And again, it's not high. You can just come up a little bit. And then float your hands off the ground. Okay, inhale, and as you exhale, try to touch your thumbs behind you. Inhale, open a little bit. Exhale, try to touch your thumbs and draw the hands down the back. So again, you could be doing this with your head down, and you're definitely still going to feel the work in the shoulders, okay? So just a comfortable lift. And we're working into kind of this place in between the shoulder blades and down the back. So these muscles help to balance that tightness in the chest that we get from all of our sitting that we do, among other things. For me, it's lots of baby stuff, is kind of hunching down. And this helps to correct that. And it's remarkably hard. So let's try 2 more. Okay, and then last one, you can come up and stay. Maybe try hooking your thumbs and pull the thumbs apart. This is going to open the chest more. A little bit of a different experience. You could lift your chest a little bit higher if you're comfortable. Maybe even float the feet off the ground if you want to kind of add everything together. One of our anti-sitting poses. And then relax. You can take a cheek or the forehead or chin to the floor and just relax the back body. Take a couple nice deep breaths. Okay, so from here, I'll invite you to take your left arm out to the left, so it's kind of straight out beside your body. We're going to try a little shoulder stretch here. This shouldn't be uncomfortable. Well, actually, might be uncomfortable, shouldn't be painful, okay? I'm going to take my right palm just underneath my right shoulder, and I'm going to slowly, carefully roll onto my side. Now, I might need a prop. I'm actually going to grab one. Bolster, block, whatever, underneath the head, because it just sort of depends on your shoulders. So you might not need that, but just a little support there. And I'm just going to roll to my side as much as works for me until I'm feeling a bit of a stretch in the chest shoulder region. You can bend your knees up towards you. You can keep the bottom one straight and bend the top knee up towards the ceiling. You can do none of those things, okay? Let it work for you. And if you're quite open in the shoulders, if you're feeling like you can take a bit more stretch here, you could reach your right arm up and even back a little bit. So you might feel actually your right arm stretching a bit too. Just make sure that you're not getting any tingling and it's not feeling kind of unbearable. It should feel like a pleasurable stretch. This is actually a yin pose, so we could hold it for minutes. We're not going to hold it that long, but just spending some time here. Imagine that you're kind of allowing the shoulder to soften rather than trying to push. Awesome. And then we'll gently roll back to our bellies and just leave your arm still for a moment. Just kind of let the blood and energy flow back into the arm. You give the fingers a little wiggle. And then draw it back in. So you might want to let the hand rest beside the hips for a moment, shoulder drawing down. If you want to add just a little bit of movement there, you can. And then when you're ready, we'll come to the second side. So the right arm is going to go out to the right. And then slowly, carefully rolling onto your right side. Palms facing down. And you're just coming to that place where you feel like you're getting a little bit of a stretch into the shoulder chest. And just arrange your legs however works for you. So you might leave them there. You might bend both knees up. You might have the bottom leg straight or straightish, and the top leg, which would be the left leg, pointing up to the sky. Again, if you want to add the left arm up and open, that'll just add a little something there. But just go to the place where you feel like you're getting a stretch that's working for you. Pretty soft here, so we're not cranking into it. Just that first place where we feel some sensation is great. Last couple breaths here. Nice, and then gently rolling out of it onto the belly, just taking a moment. Relax, breathe. Maybe take your hand beside your hip, let the shoulder drop. And then let's roll onto our back. So you can take one of your arms under you and roll onto your back. And then take a moment to adjust there. So for example, hugging the knees into the chest, giving yourself a nice little rock from side to side. Noticing how your shoulders feel now that you're on your back. Are you noticing that they're kind of dropping a little bit better? And then we've been doing this one a little bit lately. So holding a knee in each hand, separate the knees apart and then down away from your face. And then circle them back up towards your face and together. I'm just taking a few like that. So it's like a little mini massage for the inner thighs. That's certainly one of the places in the body where we can hold stress. There are lots of those places. Inner thighs is one of them. And then you can keep doing that, or if you'd like to try a happy baby, soles of the feet to the sky. Some people really like that one. It's a little bit of a different sensation in the inner thighs. Rock a little from side to side. And then release legs and hands up to the sky, and you can circle the wrists and ankles a few times. And then reverse the direction of the circle. And then place the feet down on the mat. So I do want to do a little bit of core today, but I want to do some really, really gentle integrative core, which is really nice. Even when we are in a place where we can do really dramatic core, it's good to go back to really working with those internal pieces because we kind of always need it. So feet on the floor. You can take your middle fingers onto your hip points and your thumbs onto your rib cage. So you've kind of got this square that you're working with. And imagine the 4 points just drawing in towards each other gently. So you want to feel your pelvic floor drawing in and up, your belly button pressing back and up towards your heart. And there's just this feeling of integrating throughout the torso, okay? Inhale, and as you exhale, slide your right foot out in front of you. So it's actually helpful if you're wearing socks for this one. It's okay if your foot needs to float a little bit. You don't have to have sort of full weight down. And then as you inhale, just draw that heel back up again. Exhale, left leg goes out long. And inhale, slide it back up again. So we're trying to keep the 4 points nice and steady. If your mat is in the way, you can roll it up a little bit and just slide on the carpet or the floor. And again, you don't have to be perfectly, you shouldn't be like rubbing on it really hard. You can be floating slightly. Your back is just nice and neutral. And this is one of the exercises I did a lot sort of immediately postpartum. It's really good for rehabilitating core. But I think, again, it's also really nice even when we do have pretty functional core. It's like really getting into those stabilizer muscles that are the ones that help us to actually feel good in our bodies. And I don't know about you guys, but I can definitely feel some stuff going on here. We've got psoas here as well, which is important, and we'll stretch that out too. I think we just need one more of these for me anyway. I'm not into a lot of core today. If you are, feel free to add more. Okay, I'm just going to take this last one on the left. We have one more core exercise to do as well, just FYI. And then relax the soles of the feet together, knees open wide or knees together, feet wide. And just take a moment to consciously relax the belly, pelvic floor, nice deep breaths. Okay, one more. Knees together, feet together. Fingertips on those places once again. Okay, lift your toes up off the mat so that they're flared. And just find the pelvic floor lifting in and up, belly button pressing back. Again, just a nice neutral spine. Inhale. Sorry, I always say that wrong. Okay, as you next inhale, right leg is going to open to the right any amount. And as you exhale, you're going to gather that knee in towards center. Okay, inhale, left knee falls open to the left some amount. Exhale and bring it back in. So again, part of the work here is keeping those 4 points from moving. Okay, so they're really nice and steady. That might mean you're doing a bit of a smaller movement with the knee opening to the side. You can also recruit your glutes a bit to help you with this. And just working with that steadiness. For me, the toes lifting is a big key of that because your core actually starts in the roots of your toes. Okay, and lifting the toes helps you engage your pelvic floor. So there's a subtle piece that I like to work with here sometimes when I'm doing some pelvic floor work, which is that as the right knee comes in, for example, imagine that the right half of your pelvic floor is actually doing the lifting. Okay, so it's a bit subtle, it'll take some imagination, okay, but give it a try. So opening through left side, imagining that left half of the pelvic floor is pulling the weight of the leg back up. Just get curious about that. Does that feel easy? Does it feel hard? Can you feel the sensations on one side of it easier than the other? And it is quite important to do that with the breath because naturally on the exhale, the pelvic floor contracts up. And so we can add a muscular movement to that. It does that naturally without contraction when we're breathing, normally if things are functioning well. But we can work with it a little bit more consciously. So again, I'm not crazy about core today. I'm just going to do one more each side. Feel free to add more if you want to add more. Even just waking up the muscles a little bit is so helpful. Last one for me on this left side. And relax again. Soles of the feet can be together, knees wide, or feet wide, knees together. Take some nice deep breaths into the belly and consciously relax those pelvic floor muscles. Sometimes they habitually hold on and they need a little extra help to relax. So just breathing down around the genitals. Softening there. Beautiful. Okay, let's stretch out. Let's start with the psoas. So I like to do this with a little bit of height underneath my bum. Today, I want to go kind of low. I'm going to work with this chip block. Some days I like to do 2 bricks, so it kind of depends on how I'm feeling. I'm feeling a bit lower today. If there's any pain in your back with this, you can also use no props, or if you don't happen to have anything, you can do this without any props. Otherwise, just put something under your bum. And you want to feel that it's kind of supporting the back of your hips. So your hip points, it would be kind of underneath that place. Okay. And then draw in your right knee and extend the left leg out long onto the floor in front of you. Flex that left foot and hug your knee wide to the right. So most of you know this one because I love this one and I like teaching it a lot. It's just for me, like probably the best way of releasing the psoas, which again, it's one of our stress muscles. So let's release it. So you want your left leg nice and active, but your belly is really soft. So breathing into your belly. So good. And then we'll gently ease off one foot to the floor and then the other one. And maybe just take a moment and center, just softening. When you're ready, switch sides. The left knee can come in, extending the right leg long and pressing forward through the heel. So not trying to lift the leg up, but almost like you were trying to stretch the bones out away from the body. And the left knee is going wide to the left and we're breathing into the belly. So this is not a core strengthening exercise, it's actually core release. Beautiful. And then again, when you're ready, you can place one foot on the floor and then the other. And just take a moment to soften, just let everything release. Nice deep breath into the belly. Okay, you can stay right here. This is perfect. Or try straightening both legs out, reaching your arms up over your head, taking a nice big stretch over that prop. Nice and symmetrical. Nice. And then when you're ready, again, step the feet to the floor, lift up your bum, slide that prop out from underneath you, and just take a moment. So you might want to hug your knees into your chest. You might want to extend the legs out long. Both are nice counter poses. So just see what feels natural for you right now. Yeah, good. And let's take our lovely banana. So from here, you're gonna place your feet on the ground Actually, you can probably keep your bum where it is. Just go ahead and extend your legs out long and then walk your feet over to the right side. If it's comfortable, hook your left heel across your right ankle. So you're going to feel a little bit of a stretch along the sideways there. Keep your hips where they are. Reach your arms up and walk your upper body over to the right as well so that you're in the shape of a banana. Okay. You can hold elbows, you can hold your hands, you can have your arms open, just whatever's more comfortable for your shoulders is fine. If you're getting any weirdness in the lower back, you might want to wedge a low prop underneath your left bum. Okay. It shouldn't be painful in your back at all. You should feel some kind of stretch along the left side body. It might be shoulder, ribs, hips, leg, just depending on what, maybe everywhere, depending on your body today. And then again, we're taking this with a little bit more of a yin-like attitude today. So a little more passively, a little softer, just breathing into the left side. Seeing how deep those breaths can go down into your left side. Okay. Then last few breaths, we might want to try this a little bit more actively. You can flex your feet and see if you can just kind of straighten that left leg. Maybe hold the left wrist and just give it a little gentle pull with your hand, just taking a little bit more active side stretch. Awesome. And then ease off, coming back through center when you're ready. And I would probably recommend hugging the knees in towards the chest and rocking side to side because that can feel a little funny in the lower back. You've got your left side taller than your right right now. So let's even that out. Go ahead and straighten your legs, walk them over to the left. Right ankle, sorry, right heel can hook over the left ankle. Arms come up over your head in whatever shape is most comfortable for your shoulders and walk your upper body to the left as well. Wedge that prop under your bum if you need it. Otherwise, keep the right bum, sorry, the wedge will go under the right bum. But if you can, keep both bum cheeks flat on the ground. So you're not on your side, you're on your back, but your side bending. And then we're going to start with this pretty passively. So just really focusing on the breath, just allowing the shape to do the work. Whatever effort you're doing here is really just an effort to breathe as deeply as you can to your right side waist. Incidentally, this is a really nice pose for clearing the lungs because you can just breathe right down into those lower lobes of the lungs when you're side bending. And if you'd like to take just the last few breaths here a bit more actively, you could flex the right foot and kind of straighten it with the heel hook. You could hold the wrist with your left hand and just take a little more actively stretching along that left side. Really pressing the ankles together if they're hooked. And then when you're ready, gently easing off, coming back through center. Again, you can hug your knees into your chest, maybe rock a little bit from side to side. You could return to that happy baby as well, which is a nice way of just soothing the back after doing something asymmetrical. And then let's roll to our side. We'll come back to our hands and our knees. I think this is going to be one of those classes where we don't stand up, which I'm a fan of when we just, it's my rolling around on the floor class, and I love that. So if you have a bolster, just grab it so that it's kind of close to the top of your mat, and grab your other props as well. So namely bricks, if you have them. Okay, and then come back to your hands and your knees. And let's just return to that cat and cow for a few breaths. And again, with that sort of open-ended experience here. So circles, side to side motion is great. And some of you might be noticing that you're feeling ready for a downward dog. You want one. If that's the case, feel free to come up. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, lifting the bum up, and then pedal your heels. So as you're pedaling the heels, you can get a little release into the calves, a little massage into the feet. And if you are taking that downward dog, just a little bend in your elbows. Think of melting your heart back towards your thighs. Lift and widen your ribs so that your belly can be relatively soft. And then place your knees back down when you're ready and bring your knees just a little bit closer together. So we are going to do a little bit of outer hip strengthening because it's really good for us. But again, we're not going to, kind of like with the core, we're going to take it kind of easy. We're just going to do one little piece here. So take a moment just to find those core muscles that we talked about, just nice and supportive. Shoulders are coming down the back. Lift up your left foot and hug your heel in towards your bum. Inhale, and as you exhale, bring the knee in towards your chest. Don't change anything else. And take a nice slow molassesy circle, open to the left. Knee goes back up to the sky. And we're just going to do that. I'm aiming for 5 times. If 3 is where you're at, 3 is perfect. Just again saying hello to those outer hip muscles. And the slower you go, the more juice you get out of it. If you go fast, you don't really, you can bypass the muscles a little bit more. Nice, long, smooth breaths. There's 5. Awesome. And then we'll step the foot forward between the hands. Feel free to grab your blocks here just to come up a little bit higher, and we'll straighten out the legs so you can kind of inch the foot forward to come into Ardha Hanumanasana. Little bit of a bend in the knee. Draw the heart forward nice and long, and you can stay there or you can flow a little bit with me. So as you exhale, just folding down a bit over the leg. Lengthening as you inhale. And melt. Nice, slow, luxurious breaths. Good. Okay, and then when you're ready, look forward. Bend into your front leg. If you've got a bolster, slide it underneath your hips horizontally. And then heel toe your foot over towards the right until you can get your knee down. Okay, adjust so that your heel is probably going to be closer to you than your knee. Okay, adjust your prop if you've got one there. Settle into it so you're in a pigeon, basically. If you don't have a bolster, you could put anything underneath your hip, and or you could lean right over onto that hip and bend the back leg. So that's going to be a little bit of a different shape, but it has a very similar experience to it. Okay. Lengthen your heart and then fold down. You can put your elbows on your blocks if you have them, or on the floor. You could put the blocks under your chest or your forehead, which takes a little bit of the work out of the shoulders. And if you hate pigeon, this is just not your jam, and there's a hip opener that does work for you, please feel free to take that one instead, okay? Won't be here too long. Nice deep breaths. And if you do have that bolster there, you can kind of relax into it a little bit more. If you don't have any props, you just need to use your muscles to support yourself a little more, so you're not kind of hanging in your joints. Okay, let's take one more. Okay, and then we'll make our way out. So if you can, we're going to make our way back to hands and knees. But you can also lean over onto your left hip and bring your back leg around to the front first. That's usually the easiest way to come out. Okay. Otherwise, we're kind of lifting up. We're drawing the knees a little closer, sliding that bolster out of the way. And then we can go back to our hands and knees or downward dog. And if you're in downward dog and you want to, you can extend your left leg up and roll the hip open. If you're doing that in hands and knees, actually, you can just extend it out and maybe give it a shake. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to hands and knees. Knees are minor touching, actually. And if your wrists are getting tired, feel free to do this on your fists, okay? Thumbs forward. Shoulders on the back, core gently engaged. Lift up your right leg, hug the heel in towards your bum. We're just going to take those nice slow circles. We're aiming for 5. And again, I'm not really wanting to do like a ton of really intense strengthening today. Just a little bit of hello to those muscles. So again, the slower you go, the more juice we get out of these. And it's really that moment when the knee is opening to the right that you'll probably feel your outer hip. Yeah, that's 5 for me. And then we'll bring the foot forward. Come up onto the blocks if you want to, if they're handy for you. Inch the foot forward a little bit more so that you can have your back hip over your knee. Front leg straight, little bend in that knee. And then lengthen and maybe stay up high. If stillness is where you're at today, that's perfect. I almost always like to flow. So inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to fold. For me, I like the flow because it kind of massages the hamstring a little bit. But I also find it does something quite nice in my spine. It sort of helps me to realign my spine a little bit somehow. I'm not exactly sure what the mechanism is for that there, but I think just the coming in and out sort of reminds the spine, where center is. So nice, you guys. When you're ready, bend into that front leg so that you can slide your prop, pillows, bolster, whatever you got, under the thighs horizontally, if that's possible for you. walk the foot over to the left until you can get your shin down, but you'll probably need to tuck your heel in a little closer. So it does not have to be 90-degree angle. Some bodies will do that, 99% of bodies won't because of how our bones are, not because you're not flexible, okay? Settling onto that prop, keeping in mind that you can always lean over towards your hip a little bit more and have an angle on the back leg too. You want to find a hip opener that works for you where there's no pain in the knee, okay? Lengthen and then fold, and again, support that however works best for you. I find it when I'm in pigeon, I'm not doing it right now, but I usually like to have a prop under my forehead because then my shoulders just don't have to work quite so hard. And if you know there's a hip opener that's better for you, please feel free to do that one. And then just nice deep breaths. Just softening and really being with this relationship with the ground today. Awesome, and let's take one more deep breath. Your own time will come up. So again, you can come back to hands and knees if you want to. You can also sit over onto your hip and bring the back leg around to the front, which is a little bit easier. And then if you're in downward dog or hands and knees and you want to, you can extend your right leg, maybe open it, maybe shake it. Okay, so I'm gonna offer something a little bit funny that you guys might like. So we're going to kind of prepare for Shavasana, and if you have anything left that you need to do for your Shavasana, please feel free to do that. But before you put yourself on any props, I'm going to offer something called the Chi Machine, which feels a bit silly, but it's a really nice one for releasing stress from the physical body, from the nervous system. So you're going to lay down with your heels bare. So if you have socks on, it's a good idea to do this with bare feet, sort of depending on what kind of surface you're working with. You want a little bit of traction here. So heels are just off the mat. And then you're just laying relaxed, and it's a little hard to describe this one. It's pretty relaxed. So your body is totally flopped except for your heels, which are digging into the mat a little bit, or the floor or whatever surface you've got there. And they're just rocking your body forward and back. So you get this bowl full of jello feeling. And don't resist that. Let yourself be a bowl of jello, okay? And just allow for that shaking to happen in the body. Okay, you can do this as long as you want. It's good if you can do it for 30 seconds, maybe even a minute. If it's just not feeling comfortable, don't worry too much about it. But just kind of imagine that all your tissues are just blah, 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 kind of getting this wobbling, so that they can actually release whatever they've been holding on to and just really surrender to that release. Keep your neck and your head relaxed, so your head is kind of bobbing. I find this really nice for the belly. Breath soft, shoulders relaxed. And just when that feels complete for you, just relax your feet as well and just feel that there's sort of a vibration that runs along your body. Just receive that vibration. That's your nervous system returning to parasympathetic state where you're in rest and digest. And think of it as the stress kind of melting into the ground. And you might just stay there for your Shavasana. If you need to do anything else to rest, feel free to do that in your own time. Notice how you're feeling. If there's anything that your body is telling you right now. If you need to stay longer, you're welcome to stay longer. If you feel ready to move, you can wiggle your toes and fingers and rock your head. You can reach your arms up over your head. You can hug your knees in towards your chest. And roll to one side. And then gently up to a seat. You can place your hands together or over your heart or over your belly, wherever works for you. And gently bow your mind to your hands, just taking a moment to honor and acknowledge whatever it took for you to arrive here in your practice. To honor and acknowledge the long and complex lineage of teachers that is with us in our practice. And to honor and acknowledge the land that we practice on, wherever that may be in the world. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today.